I never thought I would become the kind of woman who goes through her husband's phone. For 12 years, Marcus and I had what everyone called a model marriage. We met in college, built careers together, bought a house in a good neighborhood, and made plans for the future. Trust was the foundation of everything we had. Or so I thought. It started small, the way these things always do. Marcus began working late more often. He became protective of his phone, taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. When I asked about his day, his answers got shorter, vaguer. I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, he was up for a promotion at the engineering firm. Extra hours made sense. But then came the night that changed everything. Marcus had fallen asleep on the couch after dinner, his phone on the coffee table. It buzzed with a text. I glanced at it without thinking. The preview showed a message from someone named Simone. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Miss you already. My stomach dropped. I picked up the phone. It was unlocked. I know some people would say I shouldn't have looked, that privacy matters even in marriage. But something in my gut screamed that I needed to know the truth. I opened the messages. There were hundreds of them, going back 2 years. 2 years. Photos of them together at restaurants I had never been to. Hotels I didn't recognize. Messages planning secret meetups while I thought he was at work or playing basketball with friends. Messages where they called each other pet names. Where they talked about their future together. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I scrolled through conversation after conversation, each one a knife in my heart. But I didn't wake him. I didn't scream or cry or throw the phone at his sleeping face. Instead, I did something I never thought I would do. I forwarded dozens of messages to my own phone. I took screenshots of everything. Photos, conversations, even calendar entries where he had marked their meetings as work events. I sent it all to myself and deleted the sent messages from his phone. Then I put his phone back exactly where it was and walked upstairs to our bedroom. I lay in the dark with my mind racing, planning my next move. The next morning, I acted completely normal. I made coffee, asked about his day ahead, kissed him goodbye at the door. He had no idea that I knew. No idea that while he was showering, I had gone through his wallet and found 2 receipts from expensive restaurants from dates when he told me he was working late. No idea that I had already started researching divorce lawyers. But I didn't want a divorce. Not yet. I wanted something else. I wanted the full truth. I wanted to know exactly who this Simone was. And most importantly, I wanted to know if she knew about me. That day at work, I could barely focus. I sat at my desk and created a file on my laptop. I labeled it Project Management, something boring that no one would open if they saw it. Inside, I started building my case. I organized the screenshots by date. I made a spreadsheet of all the times Marcus said he was working late or out with friends, cross-referenced with the messages to Simone. The pattern was clear and consistent. During my lunch break, I did what any woman in the digital age would do. I searched for Simone on social media. It took me 15 minutes to find her. There were several women with that name in our city, but only one who looked like the woman in Marcus's photos. Simone Patterson, 32 years old, marketing director at a software company. Her profile was public, which was either brave or foolish. I scrolled through her photos, my heart pounding. Beach vacations, birthday parties, work events. And then I saw something that made everything worse. Much worse. In a photo from 6 months ago, Simone stood next to a man at what looked like a wedding. The caption read, "Beautiful evening celebrating love with my amazing husband, David." She was married. This woman who was sleeping with my husband, who was planning a future with him, had a husband of her own. I stared at the photo of David Patterson. He looked like a nice guy. Normal. The kind of man who probably had no idea his wife was living a double life. Just like me. That discovery changed everything. This wasn't just about Marcus cheating on me. This was about 2 marriages being destroyed. 2 people being lied to, betrayed, made fools of while their spouses pretended everything was fine. I felt a strange kinship with this David Patterson, this stranger whose wife was sleeping with my husband. We were both victims of the same lie. I clicked through more of Simone's photos. She and David seemed happy. There were pictures from their wedding 3 years ago. Photos from holidays, date nights, lazy Sunday mornings. Just like the life I thought I had with Marcus. All fake. All a performance while the real relationship happened in secret. I found David's profile too. He worked as an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown. His posts were sparse but genuine. Photos of his wife. Posts about his favorite sports teams. Nothing that suggested he knew his marriage was a sham. I sat in my car in the parking lot, staring at their photos, and made a decision. David deserved to know the truth. Just like I deserved to know the truth. But I wouldn't just tell him. I would show him. I would gather every piece of evidence I could find and present it to him in a way that left no room for doubt. No room for Simone to lie her way out of it. That afternoon, I drove to a store and bought a small notebook. I started documenting everything. Times, dates, locations. I went through our credit card statements for the past 2 years, looking for charges I didn't recognize. I found them. Dozens of hotel charges, restaurant bills, even jewelry purchases I had never seen. Marcus had been using our joint account to fund his affair. My money, our money we were supposed to be saving for our future. All spent on hotels and gifts for another woman. A married woman. I called in sick to work the next day and followed Marcus. I know how that sounds, but I needed more evidence. I needed to see them together with my own eyes. Marcus left the house at 7:30 like always, supposedly heading to his office. I followed him from a distance, my heart in my throat. He didn't go to his office. He drove to a coffee shop across town, parked, and waited. 10 minutes later, a silver Honda pulled up beside him. Simone got out. She was wearing a blue dress and heels, her hair perfect, her smile bright. She looked happy, excited even. They kissed in the parking lot. Not a quick peck. A real kiss, the kind that spoke of familiarity and comfort and love. I watched from my car 2 rows away, taking photos with my phone. I took pictures of them holding hands as they walked into the coffee shop. Through the window, I could see them sitting at a corner table, leaning close, talking and laughing. I took more photos. After an hour, they left separately. Marcus headed to his actual office. Simone drove in the opposite direction. I followed Simone. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to understand who she was, what she did, where she lived. She drove to a nice neighborhood about 20 minutes from mine. Similar houses, similar lawns, similar lives. She pulled into the driveway of a 2-story colonial with blue shutters. I drove past slowly, noting the address. Then I parked down the street and waited. I told myself I would leave in 5 minutes. But then a black SUV pulled into the same driveway. A man got out. David Patterson. He looked tired, but smiled when he saw Simone come out of the house to greet him. She hugged him, kissed his cheek. They walked inside together. I sat in my car watching that house, imagining what was happening inside. Was she cooking dinner, asking about his day? Was he telling her about a project at work, completely oblivious to the fact that she had just spent an hour with her lover? That night, Marcus came home at 6. He kissed me hello, asked what was for dinner, complained about his boss. Everything normal. Everything a lie. I played along. I had been playing along for days now, and I was getting good at it. We ate dinner. We watched television. We went to bed. He fell asleep easily, like a man with no guilt weighing on him. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind working through my plan. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I hired a private investigator. It cost money, but it was worth it. I needed professional documentation, not just my amateur phone photos. The investigator was a woman named Janet, late 40s, kind eyes, no-nonsense attitude. She didn't judge me. She just asked what I needed. I told her everything. She nodded and said she had seen it all before. She would get me what I needed. Janet worked fast. Within a week, she had photos of Marcus and Simone entering hotels together. Time-stamped, date-stamped, GPS coordinates included. She had photos of them at restaurants, bars, even a weekend trip to a bed and breakfast 2 hours north. A trip that happened when Marcus told me he had to go to a conference. She also did background research on Simone. No criminal record, good job, good education. Married to David Patterson for 3 years. no children, no previous marriages. From the outside, she looked like a perfectly normal, respectable woman, not someone who would have a 2-year affair with a married man. Janet gave me everything in a thick folder. Photos, receipts, timeline, locations. It was more than enough for a divorce. More than enough to destroy Marcus in court. But I still wasn't ready to confront him. I needed one more thing. I needed to meet David Patterson. I know how crazy that sounds, but I felt like I owed it to him to tell him the truth, face to face, with evidence he couldn't deny. He was living the same lie I was living. He deserved to know. More than that, I felt like we needed each other. Two people betrayed by the people they trusted most. I spent 3 days building up the courage. Finally, I looked up David's work address online. His accounting firm was in a building downtown. I drove there after work on a Thursday, parked across the street, and waited. At 5:15, people started leaving the building. I had seen enough photos of David to recognize him immediately. He walked out carrying a briefcase, his tie loosened, looking like every other tired professional heading home. I got out of my car and crossed the street. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I intercepted him halfway to his car in the parking garage. "David Patterson?" I asked. He stopped, surprised. He looked at me with confusion, but no alarm. "Yes? Can I help you?" I took a deep breath. "My name is Nicole Bryant. I'm married to Marcus Bryant. I think we need to talk about our spouses." I watched the confusion on his face shift to wariness. "I don't understand. I don't know who that is." "I think you do," I said gently. "Or at least your wife does. Marcus Bryant. He works at Henderson Engineering. He and your wife Simone have been seeing each other for 2 years." David stared at me. His face went pale. "What are you talking about? That's insane. Simone isn't. She wouldn't." "I have proof," I said. I held up the folder Janet had given me. Photos, receipts, text messages, hotel records. Everything. I didn't want to ambush you like this, but I thought you deserved to know the truth. Just like I deserved to know. For a long moment, David didn't move. He just stood there in the parking garage, staring at me, at the folder, back at me. Then he said quietly, "Show me." We went to a coffee shop nearby, a different one than where Marcus and Simone met. I opened the folder and showed him everything. I started with the text messages, let him read through them at his own pace. I watched his face go from disbelief to recognition to devastation. His hands shook as he scrolled through the screenshots on my phone. "That's her number," he whispered. "That's definitely her number." I showed him the photos next. Marcus and Simone holding hands, kissing, entering hotels. "This one was taken 3 weeks ago," I said, pointing to a photo of them at a restaurant. "Where did Simone say she was that night?" David's voice was hollow. "Book club. She said she was at book club." "And this one," I continued, showing him another photo. "This was a Saturday afternoon. Where was she?" "Shopping with her sister," he said mechanically. "She said she was shopping with her sister." I laid out the hotel receipts. "These are from the past 6 months. 5 different hotels, all charged to my husband's credit card. Our joint account. He used our money to pay for hotel rooms where he slept with your wife." David put his head in his hands. For a minute, I thought he might cry. But when he looked up, his eyes were dry. They were angry. "How long have you known?" he asked. 2 weeks, I said. "I've spent every day since gathering evidence. I hired a private investigator. I wanted to make sure I had the complete picture before I did anything. Before I told anyone." "Why are you telling me?" His voice was raw. "Why not just handle it yourself, get your divorce, and move on?" "Because you deserve to know," I said simply. "Because we're both victims of the same betrayal. Because I thought maybe together we could make sure they face the consequences of what they've done." David looked at me for a long time. Then he reached across the table and shook my hand. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for telling me, for showing me the truth instead of letting me keep living in ignorance." We sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours. We talked about our marriages, about the lies we had believed, about all the little signs we had ignored or explained away. David told me that Simone had been distant lately, that she had started working out more, dressing better, being secretive with her phone. All things he had noticed, but dismissed. I told myself she was just stressed about work, he said, or maybe going through something personal. I never, not once, thought she might be cheating. Same, I said. Marcus started working late. He became protective of his phone. But I trusted him. I thought trust was what marriage was built on. Trust and lies, David said bitterly. We exchanged phone numbers before we left. He asked if he could make copies of some of the evidence. I said yes. I had already made multiple copies of everything. Over the next week, David and I became unlikely allies. We texted every day, sharing information, supporting each other. He confirmed things I had suspected. Times when Marcus said he was working but was actually with Simone. David started doing his own investigation. He found credit card charges Simone had hidden, unexplained purchases, restaurant bills, even a weekend trip she had taken alone, supposedly to visit a friend, but which coincided with the bed and breakfast trip Marcus had taken. We were both living a strange double life, pretending everything was normal with our spouses while secretly planning our confrontation. It was exhausting. Every night, I went home to Marcus. Every night, I kissed him hello, asked about his day, made dinner, watched television. All while knowing the truth. All while building my case. David was doing the same thing with Simone. We compared notes. We laughed at the absurdity of it. We cried at the betrayal of it. And slowly we built a plan. We decided to confront them together, not separately, not giving them a chance to coordinate their lies. We would show up at David's house, present all the evidence, and watch their world fall apart, just like our worlds had fallen apart. But I wanted to do something first. I wanted to see where Simone lived. I wanted to see her life, her home, the place where she returned after meeting my husband. I wanted to understand how someone could compartmentalize like that. How someone could kiss her husband hello after spending the afternoon with her lover. So one Saturday afternoon, when I knew Marcus was playing golf, actually playing golf I had confirmed, I drove to Simone's neighborhood. I parked down the street from her house. It was a beautiful day. Sunny, warm. Perfect. I watched Simone come out of her house with David. They were dressed nicely, like they were going somewhere special. David opened her car door for her. She smiled at him. They looked like any other happy couple enjoying a Saturday afternoon. I felt sick. After they left, I sat in my car staring at their house. I thought about walking up to the door, leaving the folder of evidence on their porch with a note. But that felt like letting them off too easy. They needed to see my face. They needed to see David's face. They needed to know that we knew, that we had proof that their lives were over. I drove home. Marcus was already back from golf. He was in a good mood, talking about his game, asking about my day. I smiled and nodded and lied, just like he had been lying to me for 2 years. That night, David texted me. I talked to a lawyer today. She said with the evidence we have, the divorce will be clean. Simone won't get anything. She'll be lucky if she doesn't face fraud charges for the money she's spent. I texted back. My lawyer said the same thing. Marcus is going to lose everything. Good, David replied. They both deserve to lose everything. We set a date. 2 weeks from then. A Saturday afternoon. We would go to David's house together. We chose his house because Simone wouldn't expect it. She wouldn't have time to prepare or run. We would corner her there with David and present everything. Then I would call Marcus and tell him to come over. We would confront them together in front of each other with no escape route. The wait was agonizing. Every day felt like a year. I went through the motions at work, at home, with friends. But inside, I was counting down to the moment when I could finally stop pretending. When I could finally tell Marcus exactly what I thought of him and his lies. 3 days before the confrontation, Marcus tried to hug me in the kitchen. I pulled away instinctively. He looked hurt. What's wrong? He asked. Are you okay? You've been distant lately. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said I'm fine. Just tired. Work has been stressful. Maybe we should go away for a weekend, he suggested. Just the two of us. Reconnect. Sure, I said, knowing it would never happen. Knowing that in 3 days, this marriage would be over. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and walked away. I gripped the edge of the counter until my knuckles turned white. Finally, the day arrived. Saturday morning, I woke up early. Marcus was still sleeping. I got dressed carefully. Jeans, a simple blouse, comfortable shoes. I wasn't trying to look good. I was trying to look strong. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, going over the plan one more time in my head. David and I had agreed to meet at his house at 2. Simone would be home. He had made sure of it by suggesting they spend the afternoon together. Maybe watch a movie. She had agreed. She had no idea what was coming. At 1:30, I told Marcus I was going to meet a friend for coffee. He barely looked up from his phone. Have fun, he said. I'll probably just watch the game this afternoon. Actually, I said, I might need you to meet me later. I'll text you the address if I do. He shrugged. Sure, whatever. I drove to David's house with the folder of evidence on the passenger seat. My hands were steady on the wheel. I wasn't nervous. I was ready. David was waiting for me outside. He looked calm too. Determined. She's inside, he said. She thinks we're about to start a movie. She has no idea you're coming. Is she in the living room? Yes. Let's do this. We walked into the house together. Simone was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when she heard us and smiled at David. Then she saw me. Her smile faltered. Confusion crossed her face. David? Who is this? She asked. I answered before he could. My name is Nicole Bryant. I'm Marcus Bryant's wife. I think it's time we had a conversation. I watched the color drain from Simone's face. She stood up quickly, her phone clattering to the floor. I don't know what you're talking about. David, who is this woman? Don't lie, David said quietly. His voice was steady, but there was pain underneath it. Don't you dare lie right now. I opened the folder. I have evidence, I said. 2 years' worth of evidence of your affair with my husband. Photos, text messages, hotel receipts, credit card statements. Everything. I spread the photos across the coffee table. Simone stared at them. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. These were taken over the past 6 months, I continued. This is you and Marcus at the Riverside Hotel. This is you at Antonio's restaurant. This is you at the Meadowbrook Inn. Should I continue? Simone's legs seemed to give out. She sat back down hard on the couch. David, she whispered. It's not what it looks like. Don't, David said. His voice cracked. Don't insult me by saying it's not what it looks like when there are photos of you kissing another man. When there are hundreds of text messages saying you love him. When there are hotel receipts showing you spend our money on hotel rooms with him. Simone's eyes filled with tears. I can explain. I don't want your explanation, David said. I want you to sit here and listen while Nicole tells you exactly what you've done. Exactly what you've destroyed. I pulled out my phone. I'm going to call Marcus now, I said. I'm going to ask him to come here. And when he arrives, we're going to confront you both together. No, Simone said desperately. Please don't. We can work this out. David, please, let's talk about this alone. Why? David asked. So you can lie to me more? So you can spin this somehow? No. We're doing this Nicole's way. I called Marcus. He answered on the second ring. Hey, what's up? I need you to come to an address I'm going to text you, I said. My voice was calm. It's important. Now. I'm watching the game. Yes, now. Please, Marcus. It's really important. He sighed. Fine. Send me the address. This better be good. I texted him David's address and then sat down in the chair across from Simone. We waited in silence. Simone was crying quietly. David stood by the window, his arms crossed, looking anywhere but at his wife. I sat still, the folder of evidence on my lap. It took Marcus 20 minutes to arrive. When the doorbell rang, David opened it. Marcus stood on the porch, confused. Nicole? What's going on? Why are you at some random house? Then he looked past David and saw Simone on the couch. I watched recognition hit him. I watched the panic flash across his face. Marcus, I said calmly, come in. We need to talk. He started to back away. I don't know what this is, but get inside, David said firmly. You don't get to run from this. Marcus stepped inside slowly. He looked at me, at David, at Simone. What is this? This, I said, is the end of your lies. I stood up and pulled out more photos from the folder. This is you and Simone at the Riverside Hotel on March 15th. You told me you were working late. This is you at Antonio's restaurant on April 3rd. You said you were at a client dinner. This is you at the Meadowbrook Inn on May 20th. You told me you had a conference. I laid photo after photo on the coffee table. Marcus's face went pale. Nicole, I can explain. No, I said. You can't. Because there is no explanation for this. I pulled out the text messages next. These are screenshots of your conversations with Simone. 2 years worth. Let me read you some highlights. I read out loud. Messages where they called each other baby and sweetheart. Messages where they planned their meetups. Messages where Marcus complained about me, about our marriage, about how he wished he could be with Simone instead. Messages where Simone said she loved him. Where Marcus said he loved her back. When I finished reading, the room was silent. Marcus was staring at the floor. Simone was sobbing. I have hotel receipts, I continued. All charged to our joint credit card. You spend our money to sleep with another man's wife. Money we were saving for our future. You spend it on hotel rooms and dinners and gifts for her. I pulled out the final pieces of evidence. I have a timeline of every time you lied to me over the past 2 years. Every fake work event. Every fake client dinner. Every fake business trip. I have GPS data showing exactly where you were and when. I have witness statements from the private investigator I hired who has been following you. Marcus finally looked up. You hired a private investigator? Of course I did, I said. I wanted to make sure I had proof. I wanted to make sure that when I confronted you, you couldn't lie your way out of it. He turned to Simone. Did you tell him? She didn't have to, David said. Nicole told me. She came to me with all of this evidence because she thought I deserved to know the truth. Unlike you two, who clearly think we're both idiots. Marcus moved toward me. Nicole, please. Let's talk about this privately. No, I said firmly. We're done talking privately. We're done with private conversations and secret lies. Everything is out in the open now. I love you, Marcus said desperately. I made a mistake, but I love you. You don't get to say that, I said. My voice was hard. You don't get to use that word anymore. You destroyed it. You destroyed us. For 2 years, you looked me in the eye and lied. You kissed me goodbye and went to meet her. You came home smelling like her perfume and told me you loved me. You don't know what love means. I'm sorry, he said. Tears were running down his face now. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. Please don't leave me. It's too late, I said. I've already filed for divorce. My lawyer has copies of all of this evidence. You're going to lose everything. The house, the savings, everything. And you deserve to. I turned to Simone. And you. You have a husband who loves you, who works hard for you, who comes home every night and trusts you. And you threw that away for what? For sneaking around? For lying? Was it worth it? Simone couldn't even look at me. She kept her eyes on the floor, crying. You're both cowards, David said. His voice was shaking with anger. You're both selfish, lying cowards. You didn't care who you hurt as long as you got what you wanted. David, please, Simone whispered. I still love you. Don't, David said. Don't you dare say that to me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have betrayed me every single day for 2 years. He pulled out his own folder of evidence. I have my own proof too, he said. Credit card charges you hid from me. Purchases you made for him. Lies you told about where you were going. I know everything. Simone's crying got louder. I'm filing for divorce too, David continued. And just like Nicole said, you're not getting anything. You're going to have to start over with nothing. Marcus tried one more time. Nicole, please. Can we just talk? Alone. There's nothing left to say, I told him. I've said everything I needed to say. Now I want you to leave. This is my house too, he said weakly. Actually, it's not, I said. I talked to my lawyer. Since I can prove you used marital funds for your affair, I get the house. You have until tomorrow to get your things out. Marcus looked at David. Did you know she was going to do this? Yes, David said. We planned this together. The 2 people you betrayed, working together to make sure you both face consequences. How long have you known? Marcus asked me. 2 weeks, I said. 2 weeks that I've spent gathering evidence and pretending everything was fine. 2 weeks of watching you lie to my face while I built a case against you. You should have just told me, Marcus said. You should have confronted me right away. Why? I asked. So you could deny it? So you could come up with more lies? No. I needed proof. I needed evidence that would hold up in court. And I got it. I picked up the folder and held it against my chest. I also need you to know something, I said. I know about the jewelry you bought her. The necklace that cost $1,500. The bracelet that cost $800. All charged to our joint account. I want that jewelry back. It was purchased with my money. Marcus looked at Simone. Give her the jewelry. I don't have it anymore, Simone whispered. What do you mean you don't have it? Marcus demanded. I sold it, Simone said. Last month, when money was tight. I sold it to a pawn shop. David made a sound of disgust. You sold jewelry your lover bought you with his wife's money? That's a new low. Then you owe me the cash value, I said to Simone. $2,300. My lawyer will be in touch about how you're going to pay that back. The next hour was chaos. Marcus and Simone both tried different approaches. They begged. They cried. They got angry. They tried to blame each other. Marcus said Simone had seduced him. Simone said Marcus had pursued her. They both said it was a mistake, that they wanted to work on their marriages. David and I stood firm. We had made our decision. The marriages were over. The trust was destroyed. There was no coming back from this. Finally, I looked at Marcus and said, I want you to leave now. Go to a hotel. Go to a friend's house. I don't care where you go, but you can't come home tonight. Tomorrow you can come get your things, but I'll have my lawyer there to supervise. This is insane, Marcus said. You're being unreasonable. I'm being unreasonable? I asked. I'm not the one who had a 2-year affair. I'm not the one who lied every single day. I'm not the one who destroyed our marriage. You did that. Now deal with the consequences. Marcus stood there for another minute, then turned and walked out. He slammed the door behind him. The house shook. David looked at Simone. You need to leave too. Pack a bag. You can stay at your sister's house or a hotel or wherever you want, but you're not staying here tonight. David, please, Simone said. Please don't do this. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, David said flatly. You broke something that can't be repaired. Now go. Simone looked at me with pure hatred. This is your fault. You came here and ruined everything. I ruined everything. I asked. I showed David the truth. You and Marcus ruined everything when you decided to cheat. Don't blame me for exposing what you did. Simone grabbed her purse and phone. She walked to the door, then turned back. Marcus loves me. He's going to realize he made a mistake and come back to me. Then you can have him, I said. But he'll be broke, disgraced, and alone. Enjoy that. After Simone left, David and I sat in his living room in silence. We were both exhausted, emotionally drained, but there was also a sense of relief. It was done. The confrontation was over. The truth was out. Thank you, David said finally, for coming to me with this, for including me. I know you could have just handled it on your own. We were in this together, I said. It felt right to end it together. What happens now? He asked. Now we move forward, I said. We file our divorces, we rebuild our lives, we learn to trust again someday. Do you think you'll ever be able to trust again? David asked. I don't know, I admitted. Right now, the idea of trusting someone seems impossible. But maybe time will help. Maybe eventually we'll both heal enough to try again. Maybe, David said. He didn't sound convinced. We talked for another hour. We exchanged lawyer information, promised to stay in touch through the divorce process, agreed to support each other however we could. Then I drove home. The house felt different when I walked in. Empty, even though Marcus's things were still there. I knew that tomorrow he would come get his belongings. That soon the house would be truly empty of him. And honestly, I was okay with that. Over the next few weeks, the divorce process moved forward. My lawyer was aggressive, using all the evidence I had gathered to ensure I got everything I was entitled to. Marcus tried to fight it at first, but his lawyer looked at the evidence and told him he had no case. He would lose everything if he went to trial. So Marcus agreed to the terms. I got the house, the car, most of the savings. He got his clothes and personal items. That was it. Simone and David's divorce was similar. She tried to claim she deserved half of everything, but David's lawyer shut that down quickly. When you use marital funds to support an affair, you lose your claim to those funds. Simone ended up with almost nothing. Marcus tried to contact me several times. Text messages, phone calls, emails. He wanted to talk, to explain, to apologize. I blocked his number, changed my email. I had nothing left to say to him. David told me that Simone also tried to contact Marcus, but he was avoiding her too. Apparently, once the affair was exposed, the thrill was gone. They didn't want each other anymore. They just wanted to escape the consequences of their actions. But there was no escape. The consequences were real and lasting. Marcus lost his job when word of the affair got back to his company. It turned out that some of his business trips had been company funded, which meant he had committed fraud by using company money for personal affairs. He was fired and blacklisted in his industry. Simone also faced professional consequences. Her company had a morality clause in their employee handbook. When David sent them evidence that she had been using company time for personal affairs, including the coffee shop meetings during work hours, she was put on probation. She ended up quitting before they could fire her. 6 months after the confrontation, David and I met for coffee. Not the coffee shop where Marcus and Simone used to meet. A different one, cleaner, brighter, with better memories. We caught up on our lives. David had moved to a smaller apartment. He seemed lighter, happier, despite everything. I thought I would feel worse, he admitted. I thought losing my marriage would destroy me. But honestly, I feel free. I'm not walking on eggshells anymore, not wondering where Simone is, or who she's with. I know the truth now, and the truth is better than the lie. I feel the same way, I said. It hurt at first. It still hurts sometimes, but knowing is better than not knowing. Living in reality is better than living in a fantasy. Have you heard from Marcus at all? David asked. No, I said, and I don't want to. That chapter is closed. Same with Simone, David said. I heard she moved to another state. Started over somewhere new. Good, I said. I hope she learned something from this. Do you really think people like that learn? David asked. I don't know, I admitted. But that's not my problem anymore. We talked about our plans for the future. David was thinking about going back to school, getting a degree in something he had always been interested in, but never pursued. I was thinking about traveling, something I had always wanted to do, but Marcus had never been interested in. We should travel together sometime, David suggested. Not romantically, just as friends who understand each other. People who survived the same storm. I like that, I said. And I meant it. David had become an unexpected friend through all of this. Someone who understood what I had been through because he had been through it too. A year after the confrontation, my divorce was final. I got the papers in the mail on a Tuesday afternoon. I looked at them for a long time, then filed them away in a drawer. That chapter was over. Marcus Bryant was my ex-husband now, just a person I used to know. I changed my name back to my maiden name, Nicole Mitchell. I liked the way it sounded. Fresh. New. Mine. I redecorated the house. Got rid of furniture that reminded me of Marcus. Painted the bedroom a color I liked. Bought new dishes, new curtains, new everything. I made the house mine. And slowly I healed. I went to therapy. I talked through the betrayal, the lies, the confrontation. My therapist helped me understand that what Marcus did wasn't about me. It wasn't because I wasn't enough or didn't do enough. It was about his choices, his character, his selfishness. I also started dating again, cautiously. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinner dates with men I met through friends or online. I was honest about my past, about my divorce, about my trust issues. Most men ran. A few stayed. One man, Kevin, seemed to really understand. He had been through a similar situation, a long-term girlfriend who had cheated on him. We bonded over our shared experiences. We took things slow, very slow, but it felt right. David started dating too. He told me about it over one of our monthly coffee meetups. He was seeing a woman from his new office, someone kind and honest who knew about his past and didn't judge him for it. I'm happy for you, I told him. And I was. David deserved happiness after everything he had been through. I'm happy for you too, he said. Kevin sounds like a good guy. He is, I said. He's very different from Marcus. He's open, honest, communicative. He tells me where he's going, who he's with, what he's doing. Not because I ask, but because he wants me to know. Because he understands that trust is built on transparency. That's what Simone never understood, David said. She thought she could keep secrets and everything would be fine. She didn't understand that secrets poison everything. 2 years after the confrontation, I saw Marcus for the first time. I was at a grocery store picking up some things for dinner when I turned a corner and there he was. He looked older, tired. He was pushing a cart with basic items in it. Cheap bread, generic cereal, instant noodles. Nothing like the expensive food he used to buy when we were married. He saw me at the same time. For a second, we both froze. Then I nodded politely and moved past him. I didn't stop, didn't speak, just acknowledged his existence and moved on. Because that's all he was to me now. Someone I used to know. Someone who used to matter but didn't anymore. I checked out, drove home, and told Kevin about the encounter. How did it make you feel? He asked. Nothing, I said. And it was true. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering pain. Just nothing. Marcus was a chapter in my past, closed and filed away. He couldn't hurt me anymore. 3 years after the confrontation, David got engaged. He invited me to the wedding. You don't have to come if it's weird, he said. But I want you there. You were there for the worst part of my life. I want you there for this good part too. I went to the wedding. It was beautiful. Simple, elegant, full of love and joy. David looked happy, really happy. His bride, Monica, was lovely, kind, warm, genuine. Everything Simone hadn't been. During the reception, David pulled me aside. Thank you, he said, for everything you did 3 years ago, for telling me the truth, for giving me evidence, for standing by me during the confrontation and the divorce. I wouldn't be here today, this happy, if you hadn't done that. You would have found out eventually, I said. It was just a matter of time before the truth came out. Maybe, David said. But you made sure I found out in a way that left no room for doubt. You saved me from more years of lies. I'll always be grateful for that. I hugged him. I'm glad you found happiness. You'll find it too, he said. You and Kevin seem really good together. We are, I said. And we were. Kevin and I had been together for 1.5 years. We had talked about moving in together, about a future. Things were good, really good. For years after the confrontation, I got an email from Simone. It went to my work email, which she must have found online. The subject line said, I'm sorry. I almost deleted it without reading it. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. The email was long, rambling, full of apologies and excuses. Simone wrote about how she had gone to therapy, how she had worked on herself, how she understood now what she had done wrong. She said she was sorry for hurting David, for hurting me, for destroying 2 marriages. She said she hoped I had found peace and happiness. She said she didn't expect forgiveness, but she wanted me to know she had changed. I read the email twice. Then I deleted it. I didn't respond. Because the truth is, I didn't care if Simone was sorry. I didn't care if she had changed. Her apology was for her benefit, not mine. It was meant to make her feel better about what she had done, to ease her guilt. But I didn't need to ease her guilt. I had moved on. I had built a new life. Simone's apology couldn't add anything to that. It couldn't take anything away from that. It was irrelevant. 5 years after the confrontation, Kevin and I got married. It was a small ceremony, just close friends and family. David was there with Monica. They had a baby now, a little girl named Emma. They looked happy, complete. During the reception, I stood with Kevin on the dance floor, swaying to music, and thought about how far I had come. 5 years ago, I was sitting in my car, looking at text messages between my husband and his mistress, feeling like my world was ending. Now I was here, married to a man who loved me honestly, surrounded by people who cared about me, living a life I had built from the ground up. The confrontation with Marcus and Simone felt like a lifetime ago, like something that happened to a different person. In a way, it had. That old Nicole, the one who trusted blindly and avoided confrontation, didn't exist anymore. The new Nicole knew better. She knew that trust had to be earned. She knew that secrets destroyed relationships. She knew that confronting hard truths was better than living comfortable lies. Looking back now, I don't regret anything I did. Going to David's house with that folder of evidence, confronting Marcus and Simone together, exposing their lies in front of each other. It was hard. It was painful. But it was necessary. They needed to face consequences. David and I needed the truth. And in the end, the truth set us both free. Free from bad marriages, from toxic people, from lives built on lies. And that freedom, that truth, led us both to better lives. To happiness, to peace, to love that was real and honest. So yes, I found out who my husband was secretly seeing. And yes, I went to her house to give evidence to her husband. And it was the best decision I ever made. Because it wasn't just about revenge, or justice, or making them pay. It was about refusing to accept the lie anymore. It was about demanding truth and respect and honesty. It was about choosing myself, my dignity, my future over a marriage that was already dead. That's what people don't understand about confrontation. They think it's about anger or vindictiveness. But sometimes, confrontation is an act of self-love. It's saying I deserve better than this. It's refusing to be disrespected. It's choosing truth over comfort. And that's what I did that day when I showed up at David Patterson's house with a folder full of evidence. I chose truth. I chose dignity. I chose myself. And that choice changed everything. 5 years later, I can say with certainty that it was the right choice. The only choice. Because living with the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living with a lie. Always. I learned that some people can look you in the eye and lie without flinching. I learned that trust is precious and should never be given lightly. I learned that evidence matters, that proof matters, that documentation matters. I learned that confronting betrayal requires courage, but living with betrayal requires more courage than I was willing to give. I learned that strangers can become allies when you're going through the same pain. David and I will always share that bond. That understanding of what it feels like to have your trust betrayed by the person who promised to cherish it. And I learned that life continues after betrayal. That healing is possible. That happiness exists on the other side of pain. Marcus is somewhere out there living his life. Simone is somewhere out there living hers. I don't think about them often. When I do, I feel nothing but indifference. They're just people who made bad choices. People who hurt others to get what they wanted. People who learned that actions have consequences. What they did taught me valuable lessons. It made me stronger, more cautious, more aware. It taught me to trust my gut, to investigate when something feels wrong, to never ignore red flags. It taught me that standing up for myself isn't cruel or vindictive. It's necessary. And most importantly, it taught me that I don't need someone else to complete me. I'm complete on my own. Kevin adds to my life, but he doesn't define it. Our marriage is built on honesty, communication, and mutual respect. Things my marriage to Marcus never had, even before the affair. So when people ask me if I regret confronting Marcus and Simone the way I did, my answer is always the same. No, not for a second. They made their choices. I made mine. And my choice led me to the life I have now. A life of truth, peace, and genuine happiness. And that's worth everything.